2017-18 women's basketball season. We're joined by Coach Todd Starkey, who begins his second season here. Coach Starkey will give his opening comments about the season, and we'll take your questions too.
Thanks for being here. Excited about 2017-2018 season. We've been, I think our players, most of all, every coach says this time of year, we're just ready to play against somebody else. We've been working hard, but seeing familiar faces every day, sometimes it can get a little bit monotonous. But they've done a really good job. Our players have done a really good job of staying focused on what our needs are. Our team this year is going to have to deal with something a little bit new, and that's some outside expectations, some working through having a target on your back and being a focus of some other teams wanting what you have. And that's an interesting study in sports psychology, really, in that instead of being the hunter, you're the hunted now. And so, but I think our players are excited for that challenge. We're going to, obviously, life after Larissa Lurkin will be a little bit different. She had such an amazing season last year and was a lot of fun to coach her and our group of seniors that we had. But every team has to push the reset button this time of year. As we always say, every season writes its own story, and we've got a new story to try and write. So our players have done a good job of focusing on that, preparing for a tough non-conference schedule, which includes games again at Michigan again, and then also opening up against Stanford out in Las Vegas, and an incredibly tough tournament field out there at Thanksgiving. A lot of road games in the non-conference schedule, starting out with at Northern Kentucky and at Youngstown State, which will be two tough games to start the season for us. So we have a rigorous non-conference schedule that will certainly aid in preparing us for another great MAC season. I think the Mid-American Conference just continues to get better and better. One of the best, if not the best seasons in MAC history as far as RPI goes, and as far as postseason play appearances and what the MAC was able to do. Really proud of what our players were able to do in the MAC East, but we also know that the MAC West is and I think every coach in the league would say the MAC West is just loaded with talent, and was last year. And so our crossover games are going to be very difficult again in the early part of conference play until we get to the second half of conference play, where we're facing mostly MAC East teams. But the MAC East as well is going to be difficult. A lot of good players that are back, and our players are excited for that challenge. We talk about it every day. And now it's time to just kind of, over the last week of practice, try and fine-tune some things. Hopefully we're where we need to be as we go into some close scrimmages next weekend, and then hit the ground running on November 11th against Northern Kentucky.
How do you coach dealing with different expectations?
Yeah, questions. How do you coach dealing with different expectations? The thing about it is, I think it's more a focus on what our expectations are for ourselves, as opposed to what the outside expectations are. You hear Nick Saban a lot of times in press conferences talk. I mean, they're the ones that have to deal with national exposure and outside expectations to a very high degree. So the type of chatter that our players are hearing is probably minimal at best, but it's how do they handle the expectations that we put on ourselves, and what are those? And so we're a little bit more focused on our own expectations. That's where you need to continue to drive your players, is mentally be focused on what our expectations are and how do you rise to those.
So what are your expectations?
I would say our expectations every year, the goals for this program are to win a championship every season. And we're never going to be afraid to say that. That'll be another challenging task this season. Gino at UConn always says you're never defending something, so we don't really feel like we're defending a MAC East championship. We're trying to chase a MAC East championship. We're trying to chase an overall championship. We're trying to chase a tournament championship and a berth in the NCAA tournament. If every team in a conference in the country isn't trying to do that, then they probably don't have high enough expectations. But those will be ours every year.
How about just the general outlook of this program? Just for 1 year ago when you were sitting in that seat, and then now to this year.
Yeah, I think you try and stay consistent to, go back to expectations. What are my personal expectations for this program? And, said some things probably last year in the locker room, on the practice court, and even here about some things that people probably didn't think we could do. I just didn't think we were going to do them quite that quickly. But the team last year just really jumped in with both feet, and some things worked in our favor, and we also did some things to control that part of it as well. I feel like we're in a good spot for good things to happen, and we feel really good about our recruiting efforts for the future as well. So what we've done is establish a really solid foundation. We feel like I think our culture as a program has developed to a point where these players really understand what it means to work hard, to care about each other, to be good student athletes, and what it looks like, what excellence looks like, and what it takes to get there. So I feel like we're in a good position to continue to grow from, but we certainly haven't arrived anywhere.
Talk about X's and O's in the team and your personnel and who's looked good in practice and what you're going to look like.
Coach, nobody's looked good in practice. We're horrible. No, I'm kidding. I think from an X's and O's standpoint, obviously you have to make some adjustments without having your leading scorer. I mean, you're losing 23 and a half, 24 points a game in a single player. We knew where the ball was going late in the shot clock last year as we went through the season, and right now we're still trying to figure out what that's going to look like. We're going to have a little bit of challenge on that on the perimeter with not having Megan Carter first semester with some academic things that we're getting through. She's in a great place now. She's learned some things. I think she's going to be a better player and a better person from some of the challenges that she's faced. I'm really proud of how she's attacked the fall after some disappointment in the off season. But until we get her back for conference play, it's going to be a little bit of a challenge. Who's our go-to player on the perimeter? We've got some people that are trying to fill that role and step up. Obviously, having Mckenna Stephens and Jordan Karinik back is a big thing for us. Mckenna decided to come back after postseason surgery. We're kind of seeing how her health was, and she was in a good position and was excited about coming back. So we're excited about her being back and with us. And I think her toughness and her confidence brings a lot to our team. And obviously Jordan, she's proven year in and year out that she's one of the best post players in the league. And I think that she's poised to do even bigger and better things. She has some even loftier goals for herself than she's ever had. And but with that also becomes the target, She's going to have the spotlight put on her. How does she respond to that? We've been working on preparing her every day for facing double teams and how to make reads on things. And we've tweaked our offense. Some of the things that we're doing is trying to get players the ball in position to do good things. I think we have the ability potentially to be a better defensive team this year, at least from the start. Whether we continue to develop will probably come down to us as coaches, and are we really seeing the right things and continuing to hold them accountable throughout the season to do what we demand every day now, and that's to talk on the defensive end and to be play great position defense and end every possession with a box out and a rebound. So those are some, I think, probably some highlights to start with. without going into every player in depth and that type of thing, we've got other players that should factor in to what we're doing. Nadia obviously coming back at point guard. She is in as good a shape as she's ever been here. I think she also has learned to make some adjustments in the way she looks at the point guard position and what she's trying to do, and she's been very solid. And then you got Alexa Golden and Allie Poole. Both are very capable shooters. Both are continuing to improve on the defensive end and their ability to handle the basketball. And then moving on down, we have a freshman in Monique Smith that has come in and is trying to stake a claim, as maybe our best rebounder. She's really doing a good job. Marissa Barber-Smith with her size and shot blocking ability, and then Zenobia Bess as well. I've kind of talked about modifying her game a little bit. She's a very capable shooter, and she's starting to face up a little bit more and play in space. So those are probably some highlights to just talk about from a personnel standpoint. X's and O's will continue to tweak those as we go.
You said to me before that Marissa and Alexa have stepped up their game and have to step up their game substantially going to junior year. Can you talk a little bit more about them?
Yeah, no question. So the question's about Alexa Golden and Marissa Barber-Smith playing a bigger and bigger role as we come into this season. And that's what they knew that back in the summer. We talked about expectations with them, and if we're going to be as successful as we want to be, that Lex is going to have to pick up a little bit of our scoring, and Marissa is going to have to get in the type of shape that she needs to be in to be able to play more minutes. And the per minutes played, she was by far our best shot blocker and rebounder, but she just didn't get enough minutes logged to really get the game experience we'd like for her to have at this point. She came on late, strong, in a strong way, and she has been better this year than she's been in the past. She continues to improve. She was our most improved player last year. I would love it for her to be our most improved player again this year. That just means she has continued on the right track, and everybody knows Lex's toughness and her ability to play defense and talk and do kind of all the dirty work for us. Now we need her to take a little bit better care of the basketball on the perimeter, continue to shoot the ball at a high percentage, and look for a shot a little bit more.
You had a lot of success with tinkering with some individuals last year. Obviously, Larissa comes to mind, but even Jordan, you kind of did some different things with her last year. And you kind of touched on some other things you might do with some people this year. First, just hit Jordan again, just kind of expanding on what she was able to do last year.
Sure. Well, we got her wearing her hair even higher, so she's like about 6'5" now. She's really wearing her bun on top of her. We're trying to get – that's the best way we get more height out of her. But no, the biggest thing with Jordan is that she stays aggressive, okay? And Jordan doesn't have the personality. She doesn't have a me-first personality. And sometimes you need your best player to have a bit more of a selfish mentality. And so we've tried to pull that out of her a little bit more. Her teammates all want that from her. Like, Jordan, just be aggressive every day to a fault. And when she is that way, she is really tough to handle. And sometimes she drifts back into, I'm just here to be a good teammate and kind of fit into the flow, and everybody else deserves a touch. And then people remind her, no, Jay, shoot the ball, be aggressive, stay aggressive. Sometimes, and she's such a nice, kind-hearted person. Sometimes it's hard for me to, I have to make her mad, say things to her to kind of bring out her best. But that's our job as a coaching staff, is to figure out how to motivate our players to be their best. And when Jordan plays with a little chip on her shoulder, when she gets a little bit mad, whether it be, her and Marissa pushing and shoving down in the post, and she gets a little bit irritated, it's when she plays her best. And so we've seen some great things out of her, especially in the last 2 weeks. She's really coming on. Last year, if you'll remember, she kind of struggled to get her flow early on in non-conference play. And by the time we started getting to the end of our non-conference schedule and into conference play, you'd have to say in conference play she was one of the top 3 or 4 players in the league a lot of times, you know. And that's saying a lot. I mean, she had some big games for us. You know, so just getting her to walk through the door and into the gym, you know, I gotta keep coming up with new things to say to make her mad walking in the gym or something like that. And the problem is she knows I'm kidding half the time, but when she plays with a little bit of a chip on her shoulder, when she plays with more of a me first mentality, which sounds counterintuitive, but for her it's the perfect mentality to have. She's really good.
You said something last year, and I saw it in one practice this year, is at times she gets in the zone, and you just can't stop her.
She's very much a rhythm offensive player. And that's one of the things that is our job as a coaching staff, is to run the type of action that can get her post touches. And when I say post touches, everybody's going to think, well, on the block. Now, I mean like post touches all around the court. When we run offense through her, we're a better team. When Jordan is not getting consistent touches, typically we're struggling a little bit offensively. The other thing that's great about it is when Jordan gets into a rhythm offensively, she's a much better defender and rebounder. Okay? And a lot of times, and she's standing over there nodding her head, I know she knows that too, but the same thing's true of Mckenna. The same thing's true of Lex and Allie, and the list goes on. When we put them in successful positions to touch the basketball, to see the ball go through the basket, to assist on a play, those type of things, their defense and rebounding, it's just human nature. You feel more confident when you see the ball going through the basket. And so that's one of the things that's our job as a coaching staff, is to make sure we put them in positions to be successful.
Anything else, Coach?
You said you thought your defense could be better this year. Why is that?
I think we're a little bit more athletic in certain positions. We have a little bit more depth, so we can potentially play harder for longer because of our substitutions. I think we'll have the ability to do that. And quite frankly, Monique Smith coming in has the ability to defend really 4, almost 5 positions on the court. She's a very versatile defender. She has gotten so much better defensively from a team defensive standpoint since she's gotten here. She's really come a long way with that. And then you combine that with her being one of the best finishers that we have, the ability to score the ball, but she doesn't need the ball in her hands to score. Like, we don't have to run any action for Monique for her to score. And when she does that, when she finishes defensively, she continues to get better. And then we have a player in Monique that has the ability to what we call, there's 2 different types of there's 3 types of rebounders, like people who don't want to rebound and they usually don't play much. We have people who can rebound in their own airspace, which is right above their head. And then you have the best type of rebounder that can rebound outside of their airspace. And that's what Monique does better than anybody on our team. She can rebound the ball all over the floor. And so that is a defensive statistic for us, how you finish possessions. And she does a great job of helping us finish defensive possessions with rebounds.
She adjusted to playing away from the post, where she did most of high school.
She's still learning that. As she continues to grow in the ability to face up and play all over the court, she's going to be a really tough matchup, because she certainly has the strength and athleticism to really kind of be a matchup nightmare. So we're excited about how she's developed in that area, and we'll continue to do some things. I'd be remiss if I didn't say anything about Erin Thames coming in, and really she's come a long way in the last 3 weeks at the point guard position. But Erin's also one of our best shooters off the dribble. She really can find space to get her jump shot off, and she has continued to improve defensively, which was the original question. And she helps out with our defensive depth in the backcourt.
Casey Tolles was shooting really well earlier in practice. That continued.
Yeah, Casey's has as quick a release on her shot as I'll say anybody in the league. I mean, she can get the ball in and out of her hands on an accurate three-point attempt very quickly. She's skilled with the ball in her hands, can create her own shot a little bit. Where Casey continues to need to improve, and she is on the defensive end of the court. You know, the ability to understand team defensive concepts, where to be at what times, and most players have to make that adjustment. You know, in high school, a lot of times, you know, they're just responsible for their man. You know, and as opposed to really understanding how to defend different screening action, where to be. We demand communication on defense, and most players come in from high school and they just aren't used to that level of talk. So she's continuing to improve for sure.
Anything else for Coach?
All right, appreciate it. Thank you.
We are now joined by 3 of our 4 seniors coming off of practice here, from far end to near me. Mckenna Stephens, Jordan Koenig, and Zenobia Bess. Nadia Cross has class, so was unable to be here. So players will take questions.
When you guys recruited 4 years ago, were recruited 4 years ago, so low point really at Kent State basketball, to be honest, got lower for a couple of years. Talk about, and now you're returning for your senior year as champions. Talk about the journey, especially McKenna and Jordan, who have been here for all that time.
Getting recruited, part of the reasons I came here was I wanted to help rebuild the program back to how good it was in the past. Because growing up, I knew that Kent State was had a good basketball program under Bob Lindsey, and that was one of my goals in choosing Kent State, was to help rebuild it. It took a little longer than I thought it would take, but last year was definitely, I think we got the program going in the right direction. So it was just a long journey, but it was worth it. So.
My journey was a little different than Jordan's. I wasn't necessarily recruited by Kent State. When I went through the transfer, they did recruit me and offer me a full scholarship, as well as Akron, and I just like Kent better than Akron. I mean, let's be honest here. But I knew coming into it that they were really struggling, and definitely had a lot of ups and downs. There's a lot of good memories with the downs, but of course winning is the best memory yet.
McKenna, talk about coming back, deciding, I mean, you were really torn last spring, so talk about working through that decision on going back.
Yeah, so I think I was really torn, but having the injury to my hip, I think it played a really big part in my decision making. I've had, I think it's 6 surgeries, so I think that was like, it just got to me, and I think I was ready to move forward, and then I wasn't. I couldn't close the chapter, and I just knew it was right, and I needed to come back and live it out, and I'm really, really excited to be here.
Jordan, you watched her struggle. What was it like when you knew she was going to be back?
She texted me a little bit before the whole, her decision to come back, and, we kind of talked about it, and I was excited, though. She brings back, what's the word? experience. And we need that we have 6 freshmen, so we needed her experience and just her ability to score. And she's a great friend, so I was happy to have her back.
Besides experience, she's fun to be around.
Yeah.
We want to hang out more.
You said you had 6 hip surgeries. Like
No, overall, so I've had
6 surgeries. Okay.
2 knee,
Okay.
back, shoulder, hip.
All
That's
since.
it.
All since. We getting
s-
back to
just
high
starting
school?
in high school, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
How was that? Obviously, it takes a toll on you. Does it make you more determined to come back every time that happens, or is it one of these things like, oh no, here we go again? I mean, that's probably what you had to fight through to be here right now.
Yeah, I think with my hip for sure, it was just like, of course, it's something. But I think overall, my shoulder was probably the worst because I was playing softball. Like I wanted to play softball, and that's what I chose. So I think that was probably the biggest struggle for me, and then the hip was just an add-on. Like, oh great, here we go again. But
Did you ever figure out what happened? It was right at the beginning of the Michigan game, right?
yep. So it was right after the jump ball. I was going for a ball that was out of bounds, and my leg like kind of got jammed up, and I like reached for the ball, and I pivoted weird, and I felt 3 pops, and that's when it happened.
And you played 37 minutes.
Well, so yeah, I actually looked over to the bench because it hurt so bad. I was gonna be like, I need a set, but the ref started throwing the ball in, so I was like, all right, gotta play defense. I think adrenaline just pretty much got me through that game.
What position do you think you play, McKenna? I mean, you're sort of a stretch 4, but you play. I mean, you played really well outside. I mean, you're the best 3-point shooter in the league.
Yeah, I think I might be
That's
point guard this year.
That's
So.
true. If Tyra can do it, you can do it.
I really like playing 4 with Jay. I like the power we can bring with that. But I'm running some 3 right now, and I'm okay with that. I like it. Anywhere on the court, as long as I have the uniform on.
Does it feel like the struggles are just like a million years ago at this point, or does it still motivate you every day? Like, man, I don't want to go back there.
Go ahead.
Yeah, it does motivate me, and I know the rest of our team, because we don't want to go back to that. We want to keep progressing, and we want to end further than what we did last year.
So, no, you've struggled 2 places. I mean, last year is the first winning team you've played on since high school, right?
Yes.
So, just like them. So, talk about your role this year and what you've worked on between last year and this year, and what's it like tell me about going in senior year.
From last year to this year, I've worked on really like facing up and working on my jump shot, and not just being a back to the basket post player, but also working on my conditioning so that I can get in the game and play longer minutes.
Jordan and McKenna, what does Zenobia do for the team?
I just think about how much fun she is off the court. We have a lot of fun with her, but I think she brings a lot to the team. She's calm on the court. She's not like she doesn't spaz out when things are not going the right way. She's very calm on the court, which helps.
She does a lot of leadership behind the scenes. Like, she'll talk to our freshmen a lot, and when they're struggling or when they might not understand something. A lot of people don't see it, but she's in their ear a lot talking to them, so that's really big for our team.
Lacey did that last year, didn't she? So,
Jordan, can you kind of just talk? Coach mentioned about how he kind of has to use different techniques to get you a little angry sometimes. Can you just kind of talk from your angle about what he's saying there and what that means?
Yeah, he tries to find ways to make me mad and like get me playing more like aggressive and stuff. And I need to find a place where I don't need him to do that for me. I need to just play at that level at all times. So that's something I'm kind of working on personally, because he shouldn't have to do that. I should be able to do it myself. So.
How hard is it, though? I mean, you've always been the type of player that you are.
Yeah.
He's mentioning how you got to be more selfish. It's like a strange thing for somebody to tell you, let alone your head coach to tell you.
Yeah, it's my high school coach said the same thing, so it's taken me obviously a while to still haven't got there yet. It's been 8 years, but so yeah, it's a work in progress still. But it's just changing my mindset, I guess, working on that.
A year ago, we sat here, Jordan, and we talked about your being a more vocal leader. How's your progression on that? I'd like to hear from the other folks who you have to lead.
There's still room for improvement, but I think I'm more vocal than last year, I guess, but still have a lot more to become more vocal on the court. So.
Does she talk outside, off the court? How talkative is she?
Yeah, she does. Yeah. She's a really good leader by example. I think Lex is a very vocal leader, and I'll try to be as vocal as I can to make up for the lack of your vocal, but it's okay.
What's it like having Tyra back?
I think it's because we came in together, obviously freshman, and I played with her a year, and she helped us a lot that year under Coach Danny, and I think it just adds more with Larissa gone, adds another offensive threat to our team, and even though she's only played a year, she does add experience because she's been watching basketball at the college level for 3 years now. So, and you learn a lot by watching. So she adds a lot of experience.
Not quite as many injuries as you, but.
She's gone through it though. I know with her knee, so.
And she adds
Hopefully she can
toughness
stay
to our
healthy.
team because it takes a strong person to go through 2 ACL injuries and come back with a positive mindset. So.
Again, I forgot to ask you, at one point, I think Todd told me after practice that when you're hurt as much as somebody like you or Megan or Tyra, you're sore every day. Is that right?
Oh yeah. yeah. I am in the training room probably 3 hours a day for real, and yeah, I'm sore all the time, but it doesn't really matter. Just gotta push through it.
It's obviously worth it.
Oh, it's worth it. Definitely worth it.
Just got to talk about the expectations, and you've never been in this situation before. Just talk about how you're handling that and what your thoughts are.
I just think as a team, we're expecting a lot more from ourselves, and I think it's a good thing. You know, expecting to win, coming to practice. When we have a bad practice, we're all mad about it, which is good. We're not okay with going back and taking steps backwards. So.
And I don't personally like to look at outside people's expectations outside of our team. Because look at last year, we were picked to finish last in the East, and then we won it. This year we're projected to finish higher, but that doesn't really matter. It's more about what you're doing, what our team's doing individually, our goals that we have, and our expectations, and kind of forget about the outside expectations. So.
And like I said, we just want to get better every year so that set the program up for the girls that are coming below us.
Think about just sort of the tone of the team, the mood of practice at this time last year, and compare it to now.
I think it was different because last year everything was new to all of us. And this year we have a set of returners that have been under Coach Starkey for a year. So, I don't know, I would just say that's different because we're more comfortable with the drills and stuff. And
But this time last year, you really had no idea if you could win or not, right?
Yeah.
And now, I guess nobody knew how many games you're going to win at this time last year. Obviously. How's the mindset different? Because you know you can win.
We want to win. Yeah. the mindset is we're going to step into every game wanting and knowing that we can win. And it's not we're going to suck in the third and fourth quarter.
Yeah.
We're not going to be able to pull it out. No, we're going to win. That's the mindset. Just more confidence.
It really started to come together in non-conference last year, and you guys have faced a really tough schedule. It seemed like that's when you got that confidence really started. Now you're coming into another situation this year where you can play some really good teams. Just kind of talk about that.
I think it's going to be kind of similar to last year. We're going to need non-conference to work out some rotations and work out playing together because with 6 new freshmen and stuff and getting them acclimated, I think it will take non-conference to prepare be at our best for conference this year.
When you look out at playing Stanford and Florida Gulf Coast again and folks like that, I mean, what do you think? Is that something you really look forward to? You say, oh my God, Stanford, or what?
It's exciting. I mean, growing up, you're watching those teams play on TV, and I think it's just exciting to get to play them. And we've already played teams like Baylor and Michigan, so it's not anything new. Just going in and playing our hardest against them, not being scared of them.
Just you saying that put a smile on my face. I just started smiling as soon as you said it. Being blessed, to compete again. It's really just awesome.
You've got a bunch of freshmen who are going to be announced next week that nobody can talk about, but when they came through and you talk to incoming people, what were you able to tell them that you couldn't tell people like Casey and when they came through?
Wait, I'm not understanding the question. I'm sorry.
I didn't say it very well. Is it easier to sell the program to freshmen as they come through after last year?
I'd say yeah. Yeah.
Why? I know the answer, but can't you go?
Just their coaching staff in general, what they were able to do with us and how they coach every day is a big sell to the program. So that's why I'd say the culture that they've created at Kent is a lot easier to brag about to recruits. So.
How's Coach McKee treating you?
I love him as a coach. Yeah. No, he knows a lot about basketball, and he works with me before practice, sends me film clips all the time. So he's a really good player development coach, and you can tell he's just really invested and passionate about his work. So.
He's also way taller than you are.
Yeah. Playing against him today was a little rough. Yeah. He could have blocked me a couple more times than he did, but sorry.
You all said last year that the really tall players were not your favorites to play against.
Yeah.
So having him around might help that, right?
Yep.
Anything else for the players? All right. Thank you, ladies. You're all set.